City are through to the next round of the FA Cup following yesterday's 2-0 victory at home to Salford City. And hey, look, I got to say, overall, it's been a pretty good week for us City fans and the players at Manchester City, right? I mean, everything that's been going on, we got 3 points in the league. Arsenal dropped points in the league as well. And we got a pretty good victory yesterday in the FA Cup. So I'll give my opinions on the match from yesterday. There's honestly not that much to really go on. Nothing special necessarily happened throughout the match. I thought it was a pretty comfortable performance, all things considered. If you ask Pep Guardiola, he'd likely say something different. He has gone on record to say that the performance from the team yesterday was not good at all. So, hey, to each their own, right? And I could see where he's coming from. But I will say my end of things, I'll start off with the positives of the result yesterday. I say comfortable victory in a sense, because of the fact that, I wasn't expecting City to struggle at all, or, really be challenged all that much throughout this match coming into the game. Anything. I was expecting a victory from City. I didn't think that they'd come into this match and struggle whatsoever. So I was expecting a pretty dominant performance. I say comfortable because of the fact that Salford didn't create any big chances throughout the entirety of the match, right? City just couldn't necessarily punish them and really put their foot on Salford City's neck and just thrash them 5, 6, 7-0 or anything like that. Once City went 1-0 up pretty early on into the game via a Salford City own goal, City put themselves kind of in cruise control, so to say, on the pitch, right? They didn't really show their teeth and punish them exactly, right? They just kind of went through the motions throughout the entirety of the rest of the match. And then City got the 2-0 goal late into the I think with 9 minutes left in the game, right, or something like that. So yeah, it was comfortable, but City were just kind of going through the motions. That's why I say it was comfortable. Because Salford really didn't offer too much at all. I think Trafford only had about 2 or 3 notable saves, definitely 2, one in the first half and one in the second half. I can't remember if there was a third one, but Trafford didn't really have much to do throughout the entire match. So yeah, on another good note, right, John Stones finally made his appearance onto the team. He has finally come back after being 2 months out with an injury. He started the game, and overall I think he had a very solid performance. He played about 65-ish minutes, I want to say, so a little over an hour. He looked very solid. He wasn't afraid to go into any challenges, and he put his leadership and his commanding presence on display, full stop. And I'm happy to see him back, because John Stones is without a doubt one of my favorite players on the team. I've been fortunate enough to actually meet him. I met him at a bar actually, and I ended up taking a shot with him. That's a story for another time, but yeah, he's one of my favorite players on the team, and I'm glad that he's back. I think that he's an exceptional player, so seeing him back, especially with the injury problems that we have been having for the past, gosh, I want to say over a year now, but this season in particular, with Ruben Diaz and just Guardiola being ruled out through injury and stuff like that. Rodri, not really being able to stay fully fit. He's kind of coming back into it now, but Rodri being injured, Nico Gonzalez being injured, we've been hit with a lot of injuries, right? And that has definitely impacted us this season. So seeing him back is a massive, massive boost for the squad and stuff. So yeah, his stats from yesterday's performance: 95% pass accuracy. He won all of his duels against the opposition, and he made 7 passes into the final third. So overall, really good performance. Mark Gahey came on into the second half, I believe. Yeah, he came on for John Stones in the second half around the 65th minute. I thought he, showed a great display for the time that he was on the field. He finally netted his first goal for City, assisted by Ryan Cherky. So it was good. Overall, it was a pretty good performance from everyone on the team. Nothing really to get on about in terms of it looking bad or anything like that. It's just like I said, once City went 1-0 up, we kind of put ourselves into cruise control and just kind of went through the motions. Didn't really punish Salford all that much. But in terms of the negatives, I will say this, right? City going through the motions, I guess you could count that as a negative if you want to. They, just us not really looking like apex predators. But I mean, can you really blame them for that? Pep says the team performance just wasn't good. Like I said earlier, he says that the team didn't really read the spaces and attack well enough, which is why he says the performance wasn't good. And I understand where he's coming from. I could see that, but at the same time, I don't know. He did make a lot of changes to the starting 11 and stuff, but these players have been going through it, not just physically, but mentally as well. So I don't want to use fatigue or anything like that as a main excuse, because at the end of the day, it is still Salford City. Like, we are a team that's 1,000 times better, right? Like, we should be winning the match. But I think, City going through the motions probably isn't all that much to look into, particularly in this competition against this level of opposition. Yes, we've been seeing it in the league, but I think with this particular instance, I'm going to give some leeway to it and everything. So another negative is that Max Alleyne had to be, taken out of the match through injury, kind of got subbed off like really early into the game and everything. So I don't know the extent of his injury at all, but so I don't know how long he's going to be out, but I'm not really sure if it necessarily makes too much of a difference, whether or not he's going to be injured with John Stones coming back into the side. Now, yes, John Stones isn't fully fit, so to say. Like, I don't think that he could just be selected day in, day out to be asked to play 90 minutes. And I don't think that John Stones is going to be asked to do that at all. I still think that John Stones is going to be phased into the team. And then once he is actually ready for a full match, I don't really think that he's going to be our first choice in defense, and he's probably not going to start over Rodri or Nico Gonzalez in the middle of the park playing that like number 6 position. At least I don't think so. So yeah, I don't know what the situation with Max Alleyne is, if his injury is going to make much of a difference. And then I do want to say this, because it is unfortunate, but apart from Max Alleine's first 2 appearances for the first team, so his debut in like early January, and then in the Premier League, and then after that we had the FA Cup match where he scored his first goal as well. Apart from those 2 matches, since then his performances have been subpar, so to say. And I'm not going to get on him too hard, because at the end of the day, he is still a youngster, and we loaned him out to Watford so that he could get, first team experience in a very high intense league, for the repetition base, because we see the potential in him, right? So we had to recall him because of our injury issues, right? I don't think that that's on him, so to say, that his performances isn't up to standard, considering the fact that he's not very well experienced in the league, and we sent him out so that he could get first team experience. So he's been asked to fill some pretty big shoes, and in the first 2 matches I thought he's done exceptionally, and then since then the performances have just not really been up to City standard. But I don't think that says a lot about him as a player. I just think that he needs more experience and development, and him being at Watford to get that first team experience was going to be very, very crucial to his development as a player, to potentially be at City's first team in like 4 years, stuff like that. So those were my things on the negative side for this match in particular. In terms of the FA Cup as a whole, this is a trophy that I do want City to win this season. I've always taken the FA Cup very seriously. It is a very historic trophy, obviously. City haven't been looking super amazing for the past 18 months or so. So this team in particular, this like rebuild team, they just need to win something together. They need to win something together so that they could kind of like get over this hump, over like, not living up to the standards that we're used to seeing at Pep Guardiola's City side, right? Like, they just need to win something to kind of like band together and propel them to more things, right? And you could say the same thing with the EFL Cup, with the Carabao Cup this season as well. City and Arsenal are going to meet in the final, and for either one of those 2 teams, winning the Carabao Cup is going to be extremely important. For Arsenal, is going to be super important if they win, because that's going to be their first title together. That can propel them to eventually lifting up the Premier League this season, come the end of the season, right? For City, it could be the same thing, right? They win that title, that's their first lick of success together as a group, and then they could be motivated and just go on a rampage of a run in the league and potentially overtake Arsenal to get the Premier League. It could be the motivation that's needed, right? But if that's not the case, if we don't end up winning the Carabao Cup final, I would want to win the FA Cup final 100% because, again, it could take this group to the next level over this kind of like hump that they're facing and struggling to kind of like get over and stuff like that. So since 2018, this is a fun fact. Since 2018, City have not lost home or away in the FA Cup. And I know it sounds a little bit crazy, but to kind of like make sense of it. So since 2018 was the last time that City lost either home or away in the FA Cup. Since then, we have made at least the semifinals in the FA Cup, and that is played at a neutral ground, so which is Wembley Stadium. So, excluding that as an actual proper away or home side, City have not lost in the tournament. But to even, just make at least the semifinals since 2018 is insane. And City have also made the last 3 finals of the FA Cup. So, yeah, this is a trophy that I do want to win. I think that this group definitely needs to win either the EFL Cup or the FA Cup, if not both, in order to kind of get over this hurdle as a group together. So, yeah, I do want that. Now, I do want to give my thoughts on the Fulham match from midweek, because I wasn't able to give a match reaction to that or anything. But so I'll make this quick because I don't want this video to be too long. So with that win, it was 3-0. It is a step in the right direction. It was a solid performance. We got a clean sheet. Players stepped up. I thought Phil Foden looked really good. He finally returned to the side after not playing for a while. And I think that was much needed because I think the fatigue was kind of getting to him. I think in order for him to kind of like get back in the right steps of getting back to form, he needed to be taken out of the side for a bit. So I think it was good that he was dropped and given some much needed rest. He came back. I thought he put on a pretty solid performance. Bernardo Silva looked really good. The team shape overall, I am liking the new system and shape that City are employing on and off the ball. In defense, they opted to use that 4-4-2 diamond approach like they did against Liverpool, and I believe we employed that against Spurs as well. The only difference with the match against Fulham, Semenyo was the second striker up top beside Haaland, and Phil Foden came in to occupy in defense that like right midfield role of the diamond. So kind of like right here, and then Bernardo Silva would activate the press, and then in defense still staying to that 2-2-4-2 formation with Marguehi and Ruben Diaz as the 2 center backs, Rodri and Silva just ahead of them, and then attacking midfield 4 of Ryan Aït-Nouri on the left, Nico O'Reilly right center mid, Foden left, Nico O'Reilly left center mid, Phil Foden right center mid, and Matheus Nunes out on the right flank, and then Antoine Semenyo and Haaland as the 2 striking partners up top and stuff. So I thought it looked good. Nico O'Reilly got his goal, a lovely goal as well. I thought he played a good match and everything. So it's a step in the right direction. And it took more thinking post-match because, in real time as I was watching, I thought that it was going to be the same thing, especially in the second half when I saw that City kind of like died down and weren't really like doing all that much to close out the game. I thought, bro, why are we switching off in the second half? But after I thought about it a little bit more, I think that maybe I was bugging. And if anyone was bugging about that and saying, oh, it's the same problem, it's a game of 2 halves for City. You get a completely different and lackluster City side coming out for the second half of the game. I don't think that was the case here. I think it was actually brilliant game management from Pep Guardiola and the team to kind of close out that victory. Didn't let up any chances at all. Fulham didn't really create anything in the second half. They also died down. They started out the second half in the first 10, 15 minutes or so pretty strong. But then they themselves kind of just fizzled out and stuff. And City just kept them at bay. So I think it was more so great game management than it was City, simmering down in the second half out of self-sabotaging, right? I don't think it was City crumbling or falling apart. I think it was more so by design that City phased down a bit just to see out the game because, hey, we're 3-0 up. If you're 3-0 up in the first half, you have every right to be boring and not really do much, while also not allowing the opponent to do much at all in the second half to secure the victory. So I'll give them that. So yeah, that's all I'm going to say for this video. Overall, like I said, it's been a great week. 3 points for us in the league, a good victory in the FA Cup. Arsenal dropped points. The gap is now to 4 points in the league. So we've definitely got a chance, assuming that City don't drop all that much more points than anything. But from a psychological standpoint, if you're Arsenal, this must be a lot of pressure, considering the fact that you should be 15 points clear at the top, at least 9 points. You had so many opportunities to go 9 points up in the league, and you haven't taken that, right? And you, again, I talk about the psychological aspect of it. Arsenal played second every time. You know, they played after City. So the pressure of that, seeing that City either, you know, applied pressure, now Arsenal need to respond, or City didn't apply enough pressure, now Arsenal need to actually put their foot on City's neck, didn't respond. You know what I mean? So I think if Arsenal had played first, it would be a lot more soothing and at ease for Arsenal's psyche, you know, but that hasn't been the case. So psychologically speaking, the fact that you should be at least 9 points clear and you're not, the gap is at 4. I can imagine how much pressure that could put on you. You know, it could either make them crumble or it can, you know, make them step it up another gear. So, and as of right now, we're seeing that it's kind of making them crumble. So I say that word loosely. So yeah, but that's all I'm going to leave it at right there. Thank you for watching. Hit that like and subscribe button. Hit the notification bell for when I drop my next video. And I'll see you guys on the next one.